Seattle, Detroit, and the picks that I went over earlier. Now that I'm back in the office here, I can show you some stuff historically and whatnot. So let's take a look. The slip we did discuss earlier, there's been some line movement on George Kirby's walks. I went from an extreme minus 400 this morning to a minus 220 now. Still very solid. So we're going to start looking with the strikeouts over 8.5 for Scooble, or 8 plus if you want to take it on the safe side. What's happening, Ray-Bans? Just recapping some shit here from earlier with some stats. So let's look at this. So Derek Scooble versus the Mariners. They are missing the most recent playoff game where he did strike out the Mariners 9 times. Outside of this, he played them and he has covered the 8 plus in 4 of these 5 games, and again, he did hit 9 in the game that's not shown, so 5 of 6, he's hit the 8 plus, and he's hit the 9 in 4 of 6. I think today he's going to have an absolute gem. Outside this outlier here, the 5, and where he did kind of get shelled, this is very unschoolable-like to go 5 and have 4 hits. But today, back at home, life on the line, I think they're going to need to get it done, and I think the 8 plus is incredibly safe, and I think the 9 is probably fine to take, as he has hit 3 in a row earlier on in the career, and then he had the 8 piece, 1 bad game, then hit 9 in the playoffs. Next, we're gonna be looking at George Kirby and his walks. Oh Lord, did I just lose my? I did. All right, we're gonna have to do this, I guess, now. All right, so let's take a look. George Kirby's walks against Detroit. So we have him for 1, as that was the line. It could be at 1.5 now, but every single game of George's career versus Detroit, he does have a walk. Whenever this will, could you please go back already? Thank you. Oh, really? Did I just fuck it up again? I did. Search. Okay, so again, George Kirby, his walks, 3 the most recent time he played them, which was also in July, the day after Scooble faced them. Every other game, he has at least 1 walk. So the 1 walk at minus 200, paying 1.5x on Sleeper, 1.4x approximately. I think that's a steal right there. Next, we're going to be looking at 2 hitters just for hits, and those are going to both be against Seattle, or actually we can do it straight against George Kirby stats. So I'll show you why I like these 2 hitters alongside the recency bias. So we're going to be playing Gleyber Torres for a hit today. So Gleyber Torres versus George Kirby. Has seen him 3 times. We have 2 hits in the most recent time, back in July, and 1 hit in both the other games. I don't think he sees 3 at-bats versus Kirby today, but I do think he sees 2. I think he gets a hit either off Kirby or someone in the pen for sure. So that lines up well for a hit. And then last but not least, we're going to be looking at Spencer Torkelson versus Kirby. And he has a little bit smaller sample size, but equally as good. So it's a 2-game sample size for this one. But he does have a hit, and he had just 2 ABs here, and he did get a hit here. So I feel good with the recency on both these players and the history on both these players to get a hit today off George Kirby or the Seattle Pen. I think Scooble can, again, hit 9. If you want to be very safe about it, you can take the 8 plus. And I think the George Kirby walk, I mean, again, it's just an extremely mispriced line. I mean, on Sleeper, it's at 1.4x. And if we look at the odds for him to walk somebody, it's now, minus 206 for Kirby. So pretty much free at this point. It was minus 400 this morning, and they weren't even offering a 2 plus. So obviously the line is trending downwards, but obviously at the same time, a minus 400 line isn't going to consistently pay 1.4x on Sleeper, so you need to catch it based on mispricing. So outside of that, guys, I do have one small lean. I want to dig into the Brewers game, but I'm gonna wait till we have pitchers confirmed. But I have not looked this one up yet. But I do have a small lean on Randy Arozarena over 0.5 HRR today. Let's just see what Randy has been able to do against Scooble in the past. I did not play this, but again, this I think is just too low of a line. So yeah, Randy's kind of done decent against Scooble. He's had hits in 3 of the last 4, double in 1 of them. Has hits in 2, 5 of 8 total games, so he's hitting over 500, or not over 500, but he's hitting in over 500% of games. Looks like he's hitting about 250 against Scooble, though, which is pretty solid against Scooble. So for 0.5 HRR, I don't think a ton of people are going to be able to get on base today. Hello, Ernesto, what's going on, man? Good to have you here. Just to catch anyone up who has missed it, because this is the last play. Today we have looked over the stats for Tarek Scooble to hit 8+ or over 8.5 strikeouts, whichever you prefer. He has hit in the 8.5 in 4 of 6 games versus Seattle, and has hit the 8+ in 5 of 6. We looked at the George Kirby walks, which he has hit in 7 of 7 games in his career against Detroit. Then we looked at both Gleyber Torres and Spencer Torkelson for a hit, both of which have hits every single time they have seen George Kirby in their career. And last but not least, a small lean on Randy Arozarena here at 0.5 HRR. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Just wanted to show you the stats to back what I was talking about earlier. So not just a bunch of random bullshit. You know, the recency is there, the history is there, the odds are in our favor, you know, on basically every prop. So Kirby minus 206. If you look at Scooby's line for strikeouts, he's set right now at 9.5 on the books. So if we go back to 9+, which is also the over 8.5, we're looking at a -1. That's 8+ is minus 308 free, minus 166 for the actual line. Pretty solid. If we look at the batter props for today for hits, Gleyber Torres, top of the list, highest odds for a hit today. Beautiful. And then we also took Spencer Torkelson, falls at minus 150 for a hit. If you would prefer to take any of these other guys, feel free. I have not done the research on these guys. I specifically like what Torkelson and Torres have been doing throughout this series, and I think today they can come up strong against George Kirby. So with that being said, guys, if you do include Randy Arozarena at 0.5 HRR, you're going to be looking at about 6.5, 7x on your 5-man, or if you do not play him, you'll have about a 5x paying 4-man slip tonight. So that is what I got for you guys, and I will see you tomorrow for the Brewers Cubs. Until then, good luck and peace.